A lot of children have been conditioned into early prostitution by different circumstances they had to encounter while growing up. Different circumstances, both men and women. Of course, there are male prostitutes, you know that. And there are also male prostitutes for men. There was this note, very funny note, that a GS1 girl wrote to her teacher who was a youth corper. And in the note, she was expressing her feelings to this youth corper guy. And for those of you who are not in Nigeria, youth corpers are graduates from the universities or higher institution polytechnics who are serving their country for a year. All right, so they're basically referred to as government property, but they are full-grown adults. Now, this young girl was writing a love letter to her corper teacher. And in the letter, she said, forget the fact that I'm 12 years old, though. I can do anything just to make you know that I really love you. Now, when a child tells you she can do anything to make you know that she really loves you, that means if that copper wants to take advantage of that child, it's very easy. It's on a platter of gold. Because if he asks for sex, she would gladly give him sex, even though it might be her first time or it might not be her first time. At the age of 12, I've seen a case of a girl who was 11 and was pregnant. And who got her pregnant? Her father's friend. Now, she was 11. The father was around mid to late 60s in Nigeria. And this was about 22 years ago. I've lost touch with him. I don't know what's happened to her. 11. She gave birth at the age of 12. And there are lots of other cases like that. Now, very recently, I bumped into a case. Here were a couple of young girls who were 11, 12, 13, who were very notorious in the neighborhood for having multiple sex partners. As a matter of fact, including older men, younger men within their age range, and just anyone could just gain access to having sex with them. And it was okay, even though the mother's attention were called to say, oh, look into your daughters. They are very loose. They're having multiple sexual partners, including the security men in the neighborhood. All right, what we popularly call labokis. No, the parents would ignore it and treat it very trivially, like it's no big deal. Are you sure? No, leave them. They're just playing. When your little girl is outside by 8 p.m., 9 p.m., and you call that playing, 8 p.m., 9 p.m., a young girl of 11, 12, 13 is playing outside, then there's something wrong with you as a parent. Something absolutely wrong with you as a parent. Now, it's something they've been doing for long, and a lot of people have been taking advantage, because one thing about men, generally, most men are easily carried away and they take advantage of every opportunity just to have an ejaculation, whether it is through masturbation or having sex with an older person or their age range or even a young girl. Just as long as the opportunity presents itself, they take advantage of it. So a lot of people are taking advantage of these girls, and they were donating themselves, practically donating themselves. But what got my attention, why I laughed, why I called it a scheme by the parents, was the event that occurred where there was a clash between one of the young girls with a neighborhood guy, all right, who apparently seemed to have money, or what we call Yahoo boys, G boys. Those are when they do whatever, all right. And the mother all of a sudden realized that her daughter has been sleeping around and got this guy arrested. And when this guy was arrested, they were charged as much as 500,000 naira each. And the mother claimed that she never knew her daughter was involved in this or that or that or this. And it flew, my brothers, my sister. It actually worked. And the guys paid. All right? The guys paid. They paid the money just to gain their freedom. Now, according to the law, when you have sex with a minor, is the crime supposed to be a 500,000 naira fine, or is it supposed to be something else? Now, when you have almost everybody in the neighborhood saying the same story, that this girl is actually a loose girl who offers herself to everybody. So if you want to arrest anyone, you have to arrest the entire neighborhood, including some married men. Does that stand as a case for these guys who actually also participated in taking advantage of these young girls? Then also, do you think that these girls were taken advantage of? Were they? The young teenagers who offer themselves for sex in exchange for money, they are all over the place. If you're in Lagos, in Delta State, you go out to the streets to check out those areas where you can pick girls from. There are a lot of them there who are teenagers, who are not even up to 18, and people patronize them. Is that supposed to be an offense? Or rather, it's not an offense. After all, we've had cases where a sect of people think that a 13-year-old should be a wife, a 12-year-old should be a wife of a man. So if we live in a society where things like this are normal, I don't think anyone should be arrested or fined or asked to pay a dime or should be penalized for having sex with a minor, because somehow the society kind of approves of it, even though sometimes they act like hypocrites. What they approve of, they try to fight it because they themselves have not been caught in the act. They've not been caught in the act, even though they are not actually free from that same thing they are pointing accusing fingers at. Bottom line, child prostitution is deadly to the mind of the child, because when you do that repeatedly, the child automatically won't see anything special in sex. So the child will grow up not having any value for sex. And when child doesn't have any value for sex, the child is already automatically exposed to diseases, all right? The possibility of having multiple diseases, HIV and the rest of them, and probably dying in the process. And you would have been responsible for that child's early death because you couldn't help the child to come out of what he or she had been introduced early into by the wrong guardian or the wrong parent or the wrong relative or the wrong friend who took advantage of their innocence. It's your responsibility. Like a man of God will always say, every child is your child. It's your responsibility to correct the errors that have been inculcated into the minds of these kids as a result of poor parenting or poor guardians or poor society or bad educational system that we have in this country or any part of the world where you are. And for the children, irrespective of what you've been taught or what you've been introduced to early, you can come out of it. There is still time. I can always say, in all thy getting, get sense. Get what? Get sense. I'll see you again in my next video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.